Hello and welcome to Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, the show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland, joined as always by my co-host and dad, Rick Cleveland of Mississippi Today. Got a big show for you today. On the show, we're going to talk a little bit of the late-breaking news that Jackson State coach Mo Williams is skipping town for Kentucky to be an assistant coach. We're going to get into the death of former Ole Miss athletic director Warner Alford, one of Rick's good friends, who he just published a story about Monday. We're going to take a look at the remaining teams in the men's and women's NCAA Final Four and talk, as always, a little college baseball since we're keep doing that so well in Mississippi. Of course, we got to address the elephant in the room, which is our Tiger Woods errant drives. Is how I'm going to say that. But Dad, I want to start the show by giving you kudos because we had a big old party on Saturday to celebrate my birthday, and I am still full from your chicken and andouille gumbo.
It was pretty good. It
was fantastic. I know you ate it again last night.
Yeah.
Why does gumbo always better, like the second and third?
It just has all the ingredients have time to marry each other.
That's right.
And I did 40 gallons, and it almost got 8 on Saturday.
Well, almost by me. I mean, I was on a roll there. I think I got like 3 bowls in before I had to tap out. But we had the parade went off without a hitch in Jackson. The weather was fantastic. Got a chance for my sister, your daughter Annie, to come into town, so it was a good weekend.
We had a great weekend.
I also watched a little baseball, so we'll get into that a little bit. Big weekend for Mississippi State up in Oxford with the sweep up there.
I'm telling you, Tyler, I mean, as we talked about several times, we've got 3 good teams in Mississippi, but we got one.
Yeah. I know. I've been saying it for weeks. We're going to get into it in a little bit. I want to start today with the Tiger Woods news because that has been dominating the headlines across, I mean, not just ESPN, but it's like CNN and, every news stations.
CBS, ABC.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah. So we got the news, I guess it was Friday, that he had turned over his car down in Jupiter. And then came the news a couple hours later that he got arrested for DUI.
Then came the news that it wasn't alcohol. That was from.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever been like a big drinker. I think he's just got an affinity.
Well, millions of Americans have the same one. Apparently it's painkillers, and it's a national problem. I mean, it's
an epidemic.
It is, and he's had plenty of reason to use painkillers, as we well know, and it's sad. I'm hoping he'll get some help, and if not, I hope he hires a driver.
Well, that's the latest story I said is that he's not going to because of privacy concerns, which just blows my mind. But I don't understand. Like, I understand why I'm going to say poor is not the word, economically challenged individuals end up in trouble with the law. But I've never understood why people with endless amounts of wealth get in trouble for stuff like DUI. Like, I am not what I would consider to be affluent, okay? But I have Uber on my phone, and I can get from point A to point B if I've over imbibed or whatever.
Yeah.
But man, I guess the big question I have for you is, can you remember another athlete who had that great of an ability at their chosen profession that just could not get it together off the field /court/course?
Yes. I mean, there have been several through the years. I mean, Mickey Mantle, my childhood hero, turned out he was a functioning alcoholic who didn't function so well late at night. you
Right.
know, and yeah, I mean, but athletes are people too. They may think they're bulletproof, and a Tiger obviously does think he's bulletproof, but they're human. They have the same frailties that the rest of us have. You know, they've just got hundreds of millions of dollars that we don't have.
Right. And if this was the first time that
Yeah.
Tiger Woods had flipped a car during the daylight hours, I would say, he's just got it. But, I mean, it's like once it happens twice, it's like, come on.
Yeah, and apparently he's
Saying no.
saying he's going to continue to.
Well, he's either going to have to quit driving or he's going to have to quit with the hydrocodone.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
One or the other.
It's sad, and there's nothing.
It is. It is. He's one of my all-time favorite athletes. I just hate to see it happen like this.
You know, as we've had this argument a million times, and I'm a Nicklaus. I think Nicklaus is the greatest golfer in history, but I know you think Tiger is, and
I think if he could have held it together away from golf for the rest, but he didn't. And I think there's a 2-year stretch there that may never be matched.
Yeah.
And if you were watching it live when it happened, as both of us were, then you know that you saw greatness.
it was magical.
So I hope for his sake that he can get it together. I don't think there's any chance he tees it up.
No, and I think part of maybe his problem is that magic is not there anymore.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so. I mean, we built up just 2 weeks ago, sitting here, built up the final of that Tiger Golf League thing, and then they just got crushed.
Yeah.
Thing ended 45 minutes
You talked
early.
me into watching it, and that's 45
Well,
minutes.
hold
I'll
on
never
now,
get
time
back.
out. You turned it on. You didn't turn it on until they were down like 7. So that doesn't. I mean, And if you watch the end, you got to see the other team, the LA team, make 3 eagles in a row to win it, which is tough to beat as it is. But
Yeah, they're hitting into a TV screen. I'm just not into it.
yeah, well, to each their own. Dad, moving on to the next thing, we got Mo Williams leaving Jackson for Kentucky. This came on the heels of Mason Williams, his son, committing to the Wildcats on Friday. Mason, a 4-star guard. Does it surprise you at all that they went as a package deal? And are you surprised that Mo's leaving after such a short stint in Jackson?
Well, let me tell you, college coaching is the worst kept secret in the world, that they dangle assistant jobs to get players.
Right.
So
Do you think that's what we got here? Or we got a reverse nepotism thing going on, or?
I'm not going to come right out and say that, but I think that's part of the deal. I think it is. It is the deal. I mean, you told me what Mo's record was at Jackson.
He's 69 and 109 as a head coach at the college level. But he's done. He did do a good job of recruiting, I thought, to Jackson State by keeping a bunch of the talent, Mississippi's best talent, close to home. I mean, he got Tamarian Hoover and got Deshaun Ruffin from Ole Miss. If Deshaun hadn't got hurt, they might have won the SWAC tournament this year.
Well, but it's not his coaching record that got him this job.
No, I don't think so.
Now, his NBA history probably helped him get the job.
Yeah.
And you certainly can't blame him for leaving a job where I'm guessing.
That's got to be one of the toughest jobs in D1.
Well, you start every season by playing 18 road games
Against like some of the best teams in the country.
to fund your program.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thankless task, and he's going to the bluest blood school there is,
Yeah.
basketball wise. Yeah.
You say Kentucky over Duke in that category?
That'd be the argument. That'd be the argument. Yeah.
Before we get to more college basketball, I do want to talk about Rick's buddy Warner Alford, former Ole Miss AD. He was there for a long time because he was the AD when you got the Ole Miss beat. And what year would that have been?
That was 1981.
Yeah.
But that doesn't even begin to say how long his association with Ole Miss goes.
Oh no, that was a lifetime association.
He signed out of Macomb High School, signed with Ole Miss in 1957. Was one of the seven surviving members of the greatest team in Mississippi history, the 1959 Ole Miss team. He was the co-captain along with Jake Gibbs of the 1960 team that won the Football Writers of America National Championship. But more than that, the story on Warner Alford is he just was one of the best human beings.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best persons I have ever been around.
Yeah.
Just gold. He's just pure gold as a person. And
well, what about the impact he had on Ole Miss? Tell me about that.
Well, he was the athletic director in the last era before the TV money began to pour in. When he was the AD at Ole Miss, we're talking about a total athletic budget of $25 million, maybe, around that area. Now it's like, what, $250 million? And
the check from the ESPN is like $80 million.
From the SEC, the annual check they get, I think last year was $90 million. So, I mean, he had to. Arch Manning told me a story the other day when we were talking about Warner that every time he would talk to Warner would say, "We just ain't got any money. We don't have any money." Yeah, that seems hard to believe now that Ole Miss athletics didn't have. But he had to piece it together, and
competing with Alabama and LSU
like Mississippi State and Ole Miss. And he and Larry Templeton were great friends. It's in the column I wrote. Because they had to band together just to have a chance in the SEC. And they, I think it was Larry that told me it was like we were fighting cannons with pop guns. Yeah. Yeah. But they did it, and they competed, and
held on in the toughest league in America until the TV revenue caught up.
Yeah, but you know how nowadays my column will get put on Facebook and Twitter and all that, and if you read the comments...
I don't read comments.
Well, I know, but in this case you should, because everybody that comments has their own personal story about how Warner Alford affected their lives.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll go back and check out the comment section.
Our buddy Randy Watkins, he was the national junior golf champion, was headed to Georgia. Ole Miss didn't even have a golf coach, and Warner came down to Jackson and recruited him himself to go to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And Randy will tell you it's the best decision he ever made in his life. And it was good for Ole Miss because he won the SEC championship and was a first-team All-American at Ole Miss.
Yeah. We got to talk to Randy more next week.
Yeah, we'll bring Warner up, and he'll tell you real quick what he meant to him. Yeah.
Dad, the moving on the field has set for the Final Four, both men's and women's. My pick is still alive on the men's side.
They're the best team.
And if I had made a public pick on the women's side, it would still be alive. Because the women's side is just a repeat of last year's Final Four. It's got Texas playing UCLA and UConn playing South Carolina. You can pretty much pencil in UConn, South Carolina, and UCLA just about every year. And this year the other team is Texas.
Women's basketball now is like it was men's basketball was 30, 40 years ago when you had UCLA, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas. It wasn't. They don't have the parity.
No,
yet.
They have no parity.
They have no parity, but it's coming.
You think?
I think it's coming. Yeah, I do think. And plus, here's a team like Ole Miss, with a really good women's basketball team, that's forced to play on somebody else's home court.
Right.
There's a lot of that going on.
Well,
too.
there's 4 number 1 seeds.
Yeah.
In the women's side.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a lot of good teams that might have been capable. Well, Ole Miss has shown itself capable of playing with South Carolina, which is one of those 4. But not going to do it on their home court.
No, and or when the chips are down. I mean, I'm just saying it seems to be that like you say, they can hang with them, and maybe they can, but the ocean, it seems like a big gap between the best team, the elite best teams, and then the really good teams is just.
Well, clearly it is. All you got to do is look at the results.
Right. On the men's side, my fighting Arizona Wildcats are still alive. They're playing Michigan, and Illinois will play UConn.
It's 4 terrific teams.
I know. That Illinois team is really good. Kind of has really hit their stride. The UConn, I'll watch that just for the coach from UConn, Dan Hurley. Man, what a character that guy is.
Yeah, he's like
weird.
He's a weird guy, but he can really, really coach.
I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, again, proof is in the pudding. But man,
plus he had some help from above on that. Did you see the winning shot in their game that puts them in the final?
No.
It was almost a mid-court 3-pointer that the guy hit at the buzzer. They were 2 down.
Wow.
They win by 1. I read a great piece on the Athletic website about this guy. The guy Ryder had been at the Kentucky Duke game when Leitner hit the shot, and he compared the 2 situations and said that UConn's last second shot was far and away more dramatic, yeah.
Well, it was further, that's for sure.
Well, yeah. Leitner's was a turnaround jump shot from inside the key, yeah.
Well, obviously we're both pulling for Texas on the women's side because of Madison Booker and Vic Schaefer. Who you got on the men's side?
Arizona's probably been the best team. I just don't have we don't see Arizona much here. I don't know.
Every time I watch them, they blow somebody. That's why I picked them.
Yeah. I've really been impressed by Illinois when I've seen them play on TV, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings if they won it.
No, I think they would be the people's champ. But I think that Michigan-Arizona game is appointment viewing at this point. Dad, moving on to our favorite topic, college baseball. It's hard not to make every episode of the Crooked Letter podcast right now about college baseball because it's so omnipresent in Mississippi right now, and because the teams just continue to excel. Mississippi State by far had the best week last week. Defeated Southern Miss.
In the country.
Yeah, well, defeated Southern Miss. Well, it's just, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You would almost have it, but they beat Southern Miss 12-0 in Starkville. Paid them back for that earlier loss at Hattiesburg. The same story that played out last year. Southern Miss wins by 1 in Hattiesburg. State just blows them out in Starkville, and then went on to sweep the Rebels 3 games over the weekend in a series where, I'll be honest with you, Ole Miss did not look very competitive against State for most of the weekend.
They were competitive with Elliott on the mound on Friday night, but the games 2 and 3 were blah.
Yeah. I mean, and
State was just clearly better.
Well, I've been saying it for weeks that they're the best team, at least in this state, which puts them high in the running for best country, in the country. Southern Miss went 2-2 after the loss to State. They took 2 or 3 from App State and actually moved up in the rankings. They're now up to number 8 in the D1 poll. I'd like to say
something about that too. I mean, that shows how far their program has come as far as national recognition, that they could get beat 12-0 by Mississippi State and, take a series but lose a game to an average App State and still move up 3 spots in the rankings.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me, I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you one team that did not move up in the rankings, and that was the Rebels, because
No,
they lost to Memphis on Tuesday and they got swept over the weekend. They dropped out of most, if not all, the polls. They're 19-10.
19-10.
I know, but that said, if you're in Oxford, are the alarm bells going off for you, or are you not worried about it?
Well, the alarm bells were going off in 2023, and they won the national championship.
Yeah,
or
but
was
that's
it
not
2020?
that's not an indication of. I mean, I don't know. I've talked to a lot of Ole Miss fans. They say that the calling card has been inexplicably losing these midweek games. I mean, of course, this week they're going up. What is it? Not Pine Bluff. Is it Arkansas State? Or whoever they're playing this weekend has already beaten them this week during the week has already beaten them once this season. And they've got number 21. They're going to number 21 Florida down in Gainesville over the weekend. The road doesn't get any easier.
Well, in baseball, that's the way it happens when you get on a bad, you're playing Florida, who has been disappointing this season, but is just now getting it together. They swept Arkansas on the road this weekend, and that's when Ole Miss gets to play them. That's the way baseball works. It's
not always. Sometimes you get them.
If you get hot, then the same thing happens. It's like
State. You could argue that this may be the low point. This weekend might have been the low point for Ole Miss, depending on what happens going forward. We may look back a month from now and say, well, they called Ole Miss when they were playing their worst after they're coming off a loss to Memphis. And
Ron Polk, if he said it once, he said it 18 million times. That's baseball.
Well, let's look at State this weekend. They've got number 5 Georgia coming to town for a 3-game set. That's
Great
pretty
series.
exciting.
That'd be good baseball.
That'd be fantastic baseball. Georgia's playing well too, and if they can find a way to sweep this series, I don't see. I know UCLA is still up there, and they just keep winning. But
they stole one from Mississippi.
I know.
When they played, they stole that game.
I know. It should be.
I think State's the best team in the country. I'll just go ahead and say it.
Well, I agree. I would agree. I think they are. I think they've already. Their resume says as much to me.
They lose by 1 in a game they just as easily could have won on a neutral site against UCLA. They lose by 1 to Southern in Hattiesburg.
Committing 3 errors. Yeah.
Yeah, and they lose 2 games, close games, at Arkansas. One they for sure let get away, and the other one they could have won.
And you have just described every loss they've had.
That's it, yeah.
And they've won 24.
Yeah. Well, I will say that their early season schedule was not very challenging at all.
Well, until they got into that showcase, and then, they've beaten some good teams since then.
Yeah, they
really
have.
good teams. Ole Miss, Southern Miss is at Old Dominion this weekend, a team that's 13-14 going into this week. And I would just go ahead and say it. I would really like to see them sweep a series. I know it seems greedy if they keep winning 2 out of 3 in the conference, but Old Dominion is not a good team right now.
Well, neither was, if you look at the
App
record,
State.
neither was App State, and they were.
And that was in Hattiesburg.
Yeah, so if they could get 2 or 3 at Old Dominion, I think they'd be happy with it.
Yeah, I'm sure they would be.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about them.
Yeah, you're talking about
me.
you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to see them sweep on it.
Yeah.
At this point, we're going into the 3rd conference weekend, and they've lost games to Arkansas State and I know that's baseball, but man, you got to keep, if you want to be one of those top 8 seeds at the end, you're going to have to sweep some of these things. You can't just take 2 of 3 against Sun Belt competition all season and expect to get there.
And in that league, Coastal Carolina, who was disappointing before conference schedule started, now they're undefeated.
Right.
Yeah.
Going to be you got to get to a point where you're the top seed in your conference, and it just they got to get it figured out. That's enough college baseball talk for us this week, Dad. Let's move on to the Blitz. Dad, there's a report that the Saints and Chris Olave are working on an extension that would, by all accounts, be some kind of mega deal. He's every season he's been healthy. He has put up 1,000 yards. He's been the team's leading receiver. Gonna command a lot of big money. Are you comfortable with the Saints giving that kind of a contract to a guy who's had concussion issues? Considered retirement last year.
I just hope they're getting the sound medical advice on it. I'm here to tell you, Olave is an elite receiver when he's healthy, but he's missed a lot of time.
Yeah. So yes or no? You okay with that?
I'm okay with it if they're doing their homework.
Okay. The reports are out that the Saints are particularly interested in Arvell Reese, the outside linebacker defensive end hybrid from Ohio State, who looks like a man-child in the photos I've seen. I never noticed him when they were playing. He was an All-American, had 10.5 sacks. All of the NFL teams sent scouts to his workout, but the Saints were one of 3 to stay behind. He's projected as a top 10 pick where the Saints will be. Are you okay? Is that the direction they need to go in?
Well, they've had a lot of luck with Ohio State players, and that is a big need for them.
I think pass rusher is probably the number 1 need for that team.
Yeah, so, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, if not him,
in fact, I'm excited about it.
I would be too. After looking at the photos of him, I'm really liking that. He's got arms down to his knees that look like tree trunks. So
he's just a slightly larger version
of Sunterian Perkins.
Perkins.
That's exactly what I was thinking about him. Looks just like him. Dad, going over to Major League Baseball, Jason Hayward has announced his retirement on Friday. I think he played 14, 15 seasons in Major League Baseball. It's hard to believe it's been that long since he came up through Mississippi. Thought he was going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Ended up being a pretty good. His career stat
really
line's not terrible. He
player.
had a really good career.
He came up, Tyler. I covered him. My buddy Philip Wellman was the manager of the Mississippi Braves at that time. And he came up, and he was 19 years old, and Freddie Freeman, who was on that same team, was 19 years old. Hayward was the one that everybody thought. He was the number 1 prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
He was Connor Griffin back then. And Philip Wellman, I was talking in his office one day, and we were talking about Hayward, and he said, don't sleep on Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
And he was right. Yeah. Freddie Freeman is a Hall of Famer.
Oh, ain't no doubt. But,
First ballot Hall of Famer.
I think a lot of that, and I don't know, both of them were impressive prospects, but Hayward just had that look. Like he could be the star of he could be the centerpiece of the entire franchise. And Freddie, as good as he was and how much power he has, he just looks like the captain of the goon squad. You know what I mean?
He chokes up on the bat. He
just looks like he's, a enforcer for the,
There've been
mafia or something.
2 players that have come through Jackson that I would go out to the stadium just to watch them take batting practice. One was Jason Hayward, and the other Darryl Strawberry.
I was going to say Darryl Strawberry. I figured that was what you were going to say. Yeah, well, impressive. Well, to be on that list, impressive.
Yeah.
Dad, sticking to Major League Baseball, the Yankees were 5 for 5 Monday on overturning calls at home plate. And I'm loving the rule.
I am too. They're finally getting it right.
Yeah.
And you and I watch a lot of baseball together over the years, obviously. And how many times have we been sitting there and saying, God damn, this umpire's awful.
Yeah. Well.
And he's missing, about every other close strike ball call. And now, finally, they're going to get them right.
Yeah. Well, I watched moving on to the final thing in the Blitz, the CB Buckner, he is going to end up rage quitting because he cannot. I mean, I was watching the other night, and I think it was Salvador Perez he had a veteran catcher who was just teaching him what the bottom of the strike zone is, because he challenged him 3 times on pitches that were almost identical in the same spot, and it got overturned and overturned and overturned. Now, he is the same umpire. He's a terrible umpire.
It's comical.
It's comical how bad he is. And he's had multiple calls overturned at first base in the same inning. He had 3 or 4 in one game at first base, and when he gets behind the plate, it's even worse. But now we all get to see it in real time, just how bad it is. And, I mean, after seeing this, I will say this. I can envision a point in the future where the umpire behind home plate is not calling balls and strikes. I mean, you could see it.
He's just there to direct the game.
Because the review takes – I mean, it's really quick now. I mean, they tap the helmet, and within like 5 seconds, we've got an answer. If they ever get it to be like instantaneous, I think that'll be.
Well,
I mean, that's
it is instantaneous. All you got to do is what do they call the
little hitter's
eye
thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's instantaneous. You know right away if it's a strike or a ball.
Yeah, and some broadcasts they don't use that little box, but. If they get it to the point where it can just spit out something as soon as the ball comes in, I mean, I think that'll be the end of umpires calling balls and strikes. And if you had asked me 1 year ago if I was in favor of that, I would have said no. And today, I'm telling you, it's what needs to happen. And I know it's a bigger problem with society, with AI taking over jobs and eliminating jobs for humans. This is one I can get behind. I'm on board.
Well, you're talking to a former catcher.
Right.
I was a catcher.
How much would you have liked to have been able to?
Well, I knew. I can't tell you how many times that I knew it was a strike and it got called a ball. And, you know, I was 13, 14 years old, and the umpire behind me, he was a grown man. There wasn't nothing I could do except, sir, I think that was a strike.
Yeah, well, you're not supposed to argue balls and strikes, you know. And at the college level, they'll throw you out of the game for coming out of the dugout to argue balls and strikes. I think you're going to see a lot fewer ejections in Major League Baseball this year because of this rule change.
Yeah, well, you're seeing a lot. You're seeing a lot fewer because of replay.
Well, yeah, they're not chirping. They don't have to chirp. They tap the helmet.
Yeah.
But the Yankees, I think, are so far they're a 10 for 11. I want to say there's another team that's 3 for 3. But I mean that's the highest clip so far.
I was watching the Braves last night, and they got their first one overturned last night.
Way to go,
and they
boys.
were celebrating in the dugout.
Way to go, boys. Way to go, boys.
Yeah.
Well, they're off to a good start. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that more next week when we have more time. Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in this week. You remember you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or you can watch online on the YouTube channel, Mississippi Today YouTube channel. Thanks again.
And next week, we have Masters Week, right?
It is Masters Week.
And Randy
Watkins
will be coming
Randy
in.
Webb, listen to you.
Randy Watkins, yeah.
Well, I'm sure Randy wouldn't mind you mixing that up with Robbie. But, yeah, we're going to have a fun show next week. We'll talk a little Masters and get the latest on all these baseball teams. So y'all have a good week out there, and we'll talk to you in the space next week.